Tosimiano Abapem Waha A Pent Radio 100.1 FM you kumase asokwa Pentecost House. And you nunum empem Mukasia and Ebraso say a day ebro. Casimo and Nasen Yenta Brini and Fema on Hinere Spices. And I face so or Hinering on Dairy Pardon makes of one madama and Yanya Mode Atnase and Nenumre Ama Yadicasiana ebro. Sa Enson I've been pahine coffee mensa on a cabinu so dream wabo chidom edifricasia dem honomo. And you may say okay as usual no and the Talimua on one day streaming the live over Facebook and I face YouTube a day MIA. Nakasianimo and some of the dear Edi and more continue be and say. Also for Hukia ye and some so HRS a buying air to 2 near Masadia Bay for Mumbre ewo in Fudia Tone.
Achurch for more a entity a Giafimpunene a Driono miensa ayo yechere ede ache abano muso mu posting ache.
Na eno no so for wo hwe ehumasian sem so ekire se wonum edwani ekire eye student loan trust fund se siki na se safoto im no beko na wakọ peja bibi ede asosa adusuafo ya se de be wonum betimi akọkire de sanse yehia teacher fo
ewo humasuamu ano enkwade bia wo mo wonama kwano ana mo bobre baby atechima no onmanyamfo hare na ijusu wona ehye enhumasuamu nsem so wo sisa enkwada no enya se aban ebetu wo mo ajeje mu
harisha mano ne ensem kamoni atena se na nwumre ede bro se nunum ene fa kase akenkanfo eyeme ohine ba nya komene
mame ajoa ahenkra kachi
sede ameka che no ohine spices wonum adama yina ne ehone anyi wonum enkrato yebesa abasisia
Midofo a minni ho agro. Na say die oduane ne dam ayesronko.
Anne omura. Ohiri spices abefi. Aduane de ayesronko. Ohiri chicken seasoning. Se wo tutu, wo chi ana wo ye akokọ nim ho bibia. Fakakra som.
Froye mi.
Ohiri stew seasoning ba mama jeta.
Jollof no.
Ohiri jollof seasoning ma no hwam ne odew.
Fried rice no kra die.
Ohiri fried rice seasoning e ma me frida frede aponchin kakra no me do ohiri go seasoning na ye asam na me se niwa ohiri seasoning powder ya woni beef shrimp noodles any de keke ka anu so ye de aduane me hwam na me den ubedie dibio enti obapa ohiri spices abama ye aduane no aye de efise ni die ne nso aye de
ohiri spices daily
e we go hudromu at phone for 020-780-5398 and 0244-525908 FDA Aji Edudian Kratui Atum.
Yan shaka siana simfin free ashe ya wonum ehwekuya ye ensam so no nyamfo erikopoku wono ana sa ashe ye wada no wo se ya na ekuyafo ebre wo kwan bebre so na ekwan baako a wonum ebre no aban ehwe ni mu no otutu niama so obeyide free honom ye kwan a wonum ebefa so no wonum beton wonum fudie wo bra ohaw ene obre enim sa enhihye ye wodi ebe ya na se niama wodi egu akwan mu bai no eno ebema eye ekuyafo kwan ama wonum atimi aton wonum fudie wo bra wonum ankasa ene akwese abefo kwan so we nya fe na oba beso mfudie ade afiri afuom na ka ehwo ayedin ye nya hye ade begum na se dabi we obeto ade no obeben wo woni betimi adi nkita ho nya de afe na eba befa wo bi nsem se asoe ne nsem ye ne yebeto ne akwakoton na okina bi yebu afa so dabi onu nyamfo erikopoku ne eni
Nano meko iti na ye pese ye farmers market in Ghana. Ye create market farmers no betumi aba direct. Ene consumers no don't say ye have your problem kakra. You produce the bulk of the food no krase. E do ka say we create no akra, yes yes so aduane fi ho. Ene ya na ma cost no eye problem no. Enti we are trying to do something about it. Obekaya the same problem ene ma Ghana de food distribution company here dey. Bye. Because we afford aduane na efo. Na so baba be do ase no. Na ne boy dey.
Eni enu anu aboso no ekuyafo no nsem no fofofofofofo na nsu konkonsifu yi eni wanum kokoto di free ekuyafo no nsem 1 cedi o de begun kra na se kuma se 5 cedis wato no 1 cedi o se 5 cedis wo ye hwan wo dey na obeka wo bitimi so nkodakom enti we no nyamfo erikopoku na no wo kire se ekuyafo mo nsan so enkama koma ento ye mo pepe manum ni suo ade a abefo kwan so anabroni beka ne se irrigation de ba beben mo ekwan a ye befa so abefo kwan so na ye betimi anya dro banya ne nsuo begugu mu agudie so said the bear to say betimi enya bie ewo opebrem esan say enya da bia na okuani no akwakoto jerrycan mo kan say mpo no no ankasa so na cap dem bonso no de bom no de agusu baako mienu saa na obeda agugu 1 acre asase eso wasi irrigation e de ba bebe akuafo
irrigation no who's a solar powered no within 3-4 months you be we ni na ye kwa bi o jene ya award contract ahon ye kwa solar powered boreholes ni bi e dey am vegetable growers na e wo ho no in fact your one project be or northern region under that project no ye 88 solar powered boreholes ye the mu near the 44 core secondary schools awo northern region by kwa soil testing no 23 na qualify se be betmi ye all year round production e wo sa areas ni na ya take inventory e wo irrigation wo Ghana ni na President Mama asked me to do it. You take inventory no irrigation ya wo Ghana nya se ni nyina ya adwuma Ghana wo irrigable land asase out the irrigation be ye eno kwa ye 1.9 million hectares emu 229,000 and irrigation no e so sa 229,000 irrigation was no irrigation bi a champion peso e bi a groma peso nti ache e bi operate at 10% capacity. That was the reason why immediately ye the contractor call Ashamai say onko ye Ashamai irrigation system no yanko ye ni ye Ashamai produce onion kase pa in Ghana and the market is huge. On producing ya ton ho because I'm from other countries but beto
we ononyam for Eric Opoku agric minister ba ko pe wono nene na yete ye no
ansa na obi betimi aye checheni ewo omanyimu no agese wakwantetiye sukuru akwaje entetiye na ya kire ne se do besi akwagina classroom afa choko anamaka esi board so na wade akire enkwada de ema nkwada no ade na teacher ne be kire omo atimi akwo mu etirimu eyie na afimpi no ene aduonu miensa akirechefo a wo moje nteteye ewo colleges ahodo no ene na ewo mato omo hogu monten so na wo mo ye kire chenchirenche ede akire aban no na de nti omo ye kire nyina da ne se o matena fia chemfie mienu nie wo matwenya se aban bepe baby ede o makọ na omo so atimi akwasua akwakira de na so aban na hinani ede efiri omo so nti o matente so kokọ akire no.
As now, I'm coming from a construction field. We are doing this. If you see the top building that we have been climbing, then if you fall right now, you die. Some have even lost their leg, their hand because of those jobs. And because we don't want to do that, that's why we were trained as teachers to teach. So we can't be home and be suffering whilst we spent over 5 years training ourselves to become good teachers so that we will help the future of Ghana. And now we are here to tell the government to post us now because we have stayed home for too long. We can't still be at home. We can't wait for even a month. Some people are even dying. Some are doing illegal jobs. You can see our Roberts employing our colleagues. Go and steal and I'll give you money. And they will do it because they are hungry. Some are on Galamsey side. The same Galamsey we are preaching against. We are educating people against. Our people are there. They are there. You go there right now, you see a lot of trained teachers there because they have no get jobs. We have passed our licensure exams. We have reached whatever we want to do. We some are first class, second class upper and all those stuff. And we are still at home. So we want the government to come to our aid. We were trained to teach, not to be on the street hacking. Some of us are at the station hacking pure water and all those stuff. And you see these same people, the people we are supposed to teach are the people feeding us.
Eka achirechefo a womo ewie suku afimpi no ene aduono miensa na womoda so tifi a womo se aban hu omomobo no oka hu bi
na eno ena osofo hwe homasua ensem so onunyafo Haruna Idrisu wone eye Ghana Tertiary Education Commission efo ehia wo yetwen command wo se empanifo mesremo Ghana yehia achirechefo bebre wo hwemu a achirechefo ni titiri wani nkrase yehia achirechefo papa enti mesrewo professor baby a mwahye ese budget amaye ese achirechefo kamefom no mesremo ebra so wo se mutimi dane ani esa sa achirechefo we won we trainee teachers ya training womo na ye hwese ye betimi de yensa akoka eye student loan trust fund ne de sika no aba beso sankore ya se na yafa wonom adwuma mu enti mesrewo mesa ba wonchen na eho behia se obesa adwimienu na afi achirechefo amopese mofa wonom no anasa afi ebesi achirechefo amopese mfom no monsa enani ani na mofa binka ho.
But Ghana still has a deficit or shortage of teachers, particularly in rural Ghana. And we are exploring another opportunity using the Ghana Student Loan Trust to reach out to that category. I mean, how they should not expect that when we elevate them into full university status, circumstances and policy decisions will not change. But I see Professor Jinapo, I see Council Chairman Professor Mahama. I'm requested that you may have to review your numbers for teacher intake. Just before we entered, my Director of Policy drew my attention that there's been a significant reduction in the number of college students admitted. So, Professor, Chairman, I'll come back to you and the Director General of GTEC. You have to, since the numbers are left to you, mine is to make the policy appeal through your chairman. So the teacher training college, adjust them upward, do an upward review of the allocations for them. Ghana still needs teachers, particularly in rural areas.
On my Ghana, here at church for Nititru pa any incrasting cross one mono, a teacher for a monos, ye here be pa, a wohono inti, Professor Mahama and Professor Napoya Seremo, Monshe Namunye and Humbi. Beway on for Harina Idrisu, Education Minister.
Na woman swimming somewhere. Oswafo was a woman swimming Samson Manafo Harina Idrisu assign Akasa. Say ye was suku a hood be a woman and no a quada sabi or Monama Kwani be at Chima and yade womo equa sa suku no ebia wamo sabio or money a friend or musuku or montiasem and a womo a yana wamo bosuno as a baby at Chimakakra or more sound krani ye wasukua ye boabo munina no edo moko mo so kwaje entity ye na eno enwade atu dwase a free January 2026 ekwono sa bosome na mu ekwono aban eye enhyehyeye na sa nkwada ni nyina school feeding program no ye do ma hyemu bi.
I'm now on special education and I have submitted a comprehensive policy paper to Cabinet to look at the possibility of introducing free education for all learners in special and integrated schools across the country. I intend that if I get the support of the President and Cabinet, for which I trust I have, from 1st January 2026, we should be able to provide for the needs of all learners with special needs in our country, including the provision of devices for persons who are visually impaired, those with hearing difficulties and others. What I noticed as I went to Akropan was that even feeding, they still depended on government grants. That is not good enough. So we extend school feeding to all the special needs and integrated schools in the country. And for me, that would be the best intervention of meeting the needs of distressed, marginalized learners in the provision of our educational system. Accordingly, I've requested and directed GEFAN to make a minimum allocation of 65 million Ghana cedis to support the
Onmanya for Harina Idrisu eye oswafo a share enwomesua ho nsem so.
Na oswafo a wono enhwe eye enkrase amamuo osum awodo eso ekyerese o my Ghana afibia eboka bese 500 million dinyina eye efi a yede epra yede etete ahonini mapa entimi enkoso wo kan no kan e de aba besi agyanan bia ebi eni efie bia emu wase o my Ghana mu amuchiche mbe se aduonu enum na yes o my Ghana nyina wuchemu enan a baako wonum ni agyanan ni nyina no ene monten so ba bi obenya bia sebe no akoto ho no agya de agu ho no mo moa baako se ha dwen pa na eno anam so ama wahia ye akwaku a wonum eho ewom na World Toilet Day na wode wonum ehia ye en wo kire se yebetimi atu anamo a edi da so ye toilet for all dia ene na ewo se obi a edi ne ho agim ewo se yetimi ehu se efie bia betimi anya na gyanan bia ena no ne ye ka kire mo se eye amansan agyanan bia wo ho no mu no ye de ma hoho ye nya makrumafo enka hoho wo twam na bia wodu ba bi na ne ho enye na yi a aka no na kyese wo na kwa mane ho no no wakwakoja no ho na wakwakwa no ho yi na so we de amansa de ne yaba be ne se no ekurumafo de a enti obi timi si ne fie pa wasemi agya bia memmo kan kofa menko fa pa wo pa no mra metu sa mena wo boa munyina monko public amansa de no so wose da bi enye sa ne ye no enti samre de di da so toilet for all wose obia emfa ne ho nyim na yenso mu se de be ya efie bia betimi enya na janan.
Instead of public works investment goes into water supply, leaving sanitation chronically underfunded. This imbalance has created a situation where water coverage improves while sanitation stagnates. And therefore, if you have about 91% of water coverage in Ghana, 91% or 90% of electricity access, and we have less than 30% of or 39% of sanitation access, it's a question that all of us must answer. The third critical problem is urbanization, outspacing infrastructure. Our urban population is rapidly growing at 3.3% annually, one of the highest in Africa, and has overtaken the pace of urban sanitation infrastructure development.
Eno oswafo a wono enehwe ahensam ni nkrase wana hwa ahensam ena afei so osom ahodo ahensam eso ononyamfo Ibrahim Ahmed
Adehwe yentoa ensam no som na yemfama mo ene anwumrein na Dr. Dominic Ayine Attorney General wakasa ewo emrahye bedwam na nekasa wakasa ye efa edom kuma womo ewo emrahye bedwam na nsensem bia womo emma so na womo mo homne so se abandada no nipa no mo womo appointees na yede ko adu bia bobo mo kopiem se yedom kopiem ewo yoko anampo se koto na eya na bela yedi tuo mu so no dodo asa wo maheda ena abandada ni mu nipa no wo mu twa atwamanebo edi ato wo tiri so se beya wo mu de bedwojo wo mabrabo na eno na Dr. Dominic Ayine ano a wo chese enye sakra ena etie se ekoba ne se yede sobuobu obi se Ghana sika wa tabribi ana wa ma Ghana aboka esese sa eye tabona yede ato no so anase sobua yede abono no esutika eni etwa ede to no so enti de ekoso nyina no emu da ho frenchem kroji.
The Economic and Organized Crime Office and other law enforcement agencies under my ministry are not acting arbitrarily. Bail depends on the crime, the gravity of the crime. And so what we are seeing now is that the sums involved in the criminal investigations are very huge. And because they are very huge, if you set very low bail conditions in terms of the sums, the likelihood is that when the person, the suspect escapes or is unavailable to stand trial, whatever you are able to extract in justification will not be able to offset the sum that is involved, the criminal liability that is involved. So, for instance, if you have a situation where the suspect is accused of, let's say, causing financial loss to the state in the sum of 1 billion Ghana cedis, or stealing in the sum of 31.1 million Ghana cedis, you cannot set bail terms that are, unjustifiably low. So it is the magnitude of the offenses we are dealing with that dictates that we set bail sums that reasonably justify the crimes that have been committed. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing unjust or unfair with respect to what is happening. I am standing on firm ground in saying this because the sums of money and the criminal enterprise that are the subject matter of the bail conditions that are being imposed have never before been seen in this our country. And that is the reason why it is important that we take stringent steps to continue to do what we are doing.
Dr. Dominic Ayine Attorney General Nene Enayati.
Mame fa wo entwa so na awiei na yede eto manim ekire se ECOWAS Human Rights Court wabua Mame Gertrude Tokono Kani Chief Justice na yesam no wabo ede atuagu na enei lawyer penny edema ma Megatrude Araba Tokuno lawyer ayikwe otu and obekai lawyer ye pa dia and na my lord you and I were not there 2013 Ebra 2012 election petition that called Supreme Court no na onunyafo lawyer ayikwe otu no na ne DMPP amanyukona nim wonu a na esai esoma Megatrude Tokuno ne nsam nyina ewo ECOWAS Human Rights Court na papa yi akasa wasi awia yi said ensem na boba no kwasem sa na tie kra ai se obi nunu ne ho en wo sere wasi asem na nkasa na wonm de kodan ECOWAS Court na ECOWAS Court ntwam omontu nwuyo na won nkasa na aban na tie konwa so no ne lawyer pani attorney general no wanti asem ni ya na na obo futo de guga na fuani wase wo mo de asem yi ko ECOWAS Court na asem a abete akonwa se kan ne se ECOWAS Human Rights Court wo need to me ebia se obetimi atena sa asem no so na ECOWAS Court akere se wo tumi se wo de betena sa asem no eso ama ya ma wono enafua aduasa se asem a ma Megatrude Tokuno na lawyer for de bae no wo mo so wo na meyi wono ensem ano asem a wo bo atugu ye no asem kitu bi ene wo ho sei ena onunyamfo ayikwe otu wo kire ECOWAS Court ne verdict anase na 10 year wo de ba ene no ho.
I'm saying that I'm only a suspended Chief Justice. My matters are pending both in Ghana and ECOWAS. So stay your hands and let's see what the ruling will. Since the application was filed, they have refused to respond to the case itself. And the court is saying, go and file your response within 30 days and come and let us go into this matter. As for this criminal offense, it's of no use, it's of no value because you have fixed them with fear complete already. You've done all that you want to do. So who hear this matter? Let us go into the full matter itself. When this case was filed, the first thing they told everybody was that the ECOWAS Court has no jurisdiction. Some of us kept telling them that it is not true. The ECOWAS Court operates whether or not a case is pending in your country. ECOWAS Court will rule here so long as it has to do with the violation of human rights. But they were too full of themselves, kept saying that the court will dismiss it because there are pending cases in the Supreme Court, High Court, and so on, so which have not been dealt with. Now that ruling has gone against them, that they should file their process and let's hear the matter. What is newsworthy is that their preliminary objection has been dismissed and they have been given 30 days to file their processes.
Enti a lawyer for brof na judge for brof no preliminary ni de said ya enti ase no ACF no eni a kyeremu ese jase wankasa asem ne esi ye no wo se court ne se wotena ase bosumi miensa ansa na wode ba ECOWAS Court na nka wonim ne nkesi ye na nka wo se nka de ba bosumi miensa ama nipa no decision bi on mo wateki dada eno ena yebotugu na no na ononyamfo ayikwe otu kyeremu ese enei wono ohun ne ho se wo suspended Chief Justice onye obi a yayi nadi enu nti asem na eda ECOWAS Court na ene se enefu aduasa MPP NDC aban oloyo pani nim omo maka monko na fe monso monfa manudisem emfa emra asem no yentena so nti nyasa asem no yatwam anase yabo edi atogu.
I'm saying that I'm only a suspended Chief Justice. My matters are pending both in Ghana and ECOWAS. So stay your hands and let's see what the ruling will be. You said, no, I am going ahead to appoint a new Chief Justice. And you did that, and you even swore the person in. Why are you jubilating that an interim application has been dismissed? Because that influence has been overtaking my names. Didn't they just hold their horses to allow the ruling to come? For example, this ruling has come saying that it's okay, now there's no interim application. But all the applications were pending, and they still went ahead and did what they did.
Any out a lawyer, Ayikwe Otu. My lord, you and I were not there. We're not any yeti.
Executive Director Emma Star Ghana Foundation Alhaji Ibrahim Tanko Amidu wase kwanya yeje emaburu tumia womuwo ewa mamuomu ese yayi ede free wo nsem no eha adwene pa wase oman bia encheche ye no ne fapem egina emabunu eso enti se tumia emabunu ewo so omode be kire wo madwen ama wo man natimi atumpo no se tumi no yeje every woman sama hweya na wo man no etimi ajuja enti empanyimfo hwe se wo mobeje emabunu adwentie na niema bia yede bema wo mo no mo so ebetimi ede aboa wo man enchechiriye no yemfama wo.
To look at the fact that, as with the experiences in other countries, when young people are disempowered, the country is destabilized. And so I think there's a lot that needs to be done, both in terms of the laws that would make participation more accessible, but also I think in terms of how our governance structures are modeled. And then the important issue of economic empowerment, that without economic empowerment, the participation of young people in governance will be quite limited. We do know that there are developments in the external context that affect civil society, particularly the cutback in funding from traditional donor organizations. So we think that internally, what we need to do is to look at how we can mobilize resources internally to support the work of civil society, because that's quite important in holding government accountable, in linking governance to the voices of community members, but also in ensuring that we bring in some technical expertise that sits in civil society.
Alhaji Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, Executive Director, Master Ghana Foundation, na nusi yano, and Governing Council Chair, Master Ghana Foundation, Hamdia, Ismaila, and so Ede and Semnibi Etwas say.
We want to see citizens being active in public discourse. So the idea or the main themes for outcomes that we expect from this strategic plan is to get a stronger civil society and well-engaged citizens. We want to ensure that we are able to be resilient around environmental resilience, and also making sure that public services are enhanced and no one is left behind.
Anyway, Council Chair, Master Ghana Foundation, Hamdia Ismaila.
Mamen for Enko Pristia Bogoso. Not mines be on moi a year Pristia, Bogoso Pristia gold mines. And was a nay aquacodi equire from heat Goldfields, one of Ensem. A baby woman Ensemuno. A year Akatia, a was what de Emma Cane, Edumaya 4. And nothing so and penny for a answer Edumaya 4, one of my home a year, and as one will leave or one more call, yeah, a sika was what the moment just acquire bassa. Ama a buying. And a year as a year, a shopper did some so had the crack almost a woman share, Nedjumay for 1 man show me, and so Nedjumay Future say, heat Goldfields, one much when you cry at the Atunche cry. I don't know summer and there, one of eyes in true for Shimu, no one of customer for H. Say, and no more a year. Heat Goldfields, one of 8 to 1, was a how 1 year papa. I buy into night in sim, no one can be infamous or my son say a come air do chrome.
Let me emphasize, after taking control of the Bogosu Prisia mine, Heat Goldfields has still not fulfilled its obligation to workers. This led to yet another protest by workers, which drew the attention of the current minister. In response, the minister issues a fresh 120-day notice to Heat Goldfields, directing them to address all outstanding employment entitlements and required by the labor law and subsequent collective agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, today, we are here because the situation of the mine and that of the redundant workers continue to deteriorate. Under the guise of operational restructuring and claiming to be placing the mine under care and maintenance, Heat Goldfields has disengaged a substantial number of employees. The human cost and suffering by this disengagement is undeniable. The livelihood of long-service, hard-working Ghanaians have been destroyed. Many had believed that Heat Goldfields, being the new operator, would bring relief, but instead, we now face joblessness, uncertainty, and financial distress.
Was it acquire set ye be crumpedy? As one of say a job a restructuring, that one more. Ama a bit more at ye be so conquerant and a fienia diadema, what just a big grandpa for Marshall one monqua. Nanka Sika was here, dema one marketia, one man ye bien, and come one of them say, no day, I caught one of Cretchy.
Speak today, 19th November 2025, only about half of the affected workers have received their Provident Funds contribution. End of contract benefit, outstanding leave balances, and the 2023 bonuses remain unpaid. A letter memo dated 6 October 2025 extended the payment deadline to December 2025. This shocked workers' confidence further, raising serious questions about the financial capacity of Heat Goldfish Limited to operate the mine. Meanwhile, the consequences have been severe and continuing our families and struggling to afford food, education, and healthcare. Some workers have died without receiving their lawful entitlement. Elderly and unwell former employees who gave decades of our life to the mine now live in a distress because of these prolonged delays in payment and efficient operation of the mine.
Wey adwumayɛfo a wɔkyerɛ sɛ yɛdane ɛyɛ bogus Pristia gold mines ɛde ma wɔn ba bɛyɛ ɛyɛ Heat gold fields wɔnom yɛyi wɔn adi ɛsɛ yɛyɛ restructuring ɛnso wɔnom ehu bibia saa wɔn aka wɔn atum akadeɛ asɛdeɛ ɛsɛ wɔnom sɛ nka edi mu kɔtena fi kura mmerɛ anamɔnye mu adeɛ ɛno nso yɛmfɛ ma wɔnom ebi mu kɔ leave ɛwɔ bere a yɛnti wɔnom hwɛ yɛnti wɔn ka nti wɔnom ɛɛdan aban no ma yɛnkɔ wie kaseɛ no ɛwɔ amana no ɛnsɛm no yɛkɔ Kenya okɔpie mu wɔ Kenya ɛwɔ afi ahyase na afei nso afi etwa mu no ɔyɛ kyerɛ bi kɔ so ana wei no wɔfrɛ mu Gen Z for kyerɛ sɛ ɛnɛma no mabu maba wɔne wɔnom yɛ ɔyɛ kyerɛ paa sɛ baabi ɔman na ɛkɔ no ɛnyɛ wɔnom afa abɛfo ntinta video social media and wɔnom ade yɛ campaign boaboa dɔm na no na Amnesty International ɛkyerɛ sɛ wɔnom ayɛ nhwehwɛmu hu sɛ aban na ɛyɛ Kenya aban no wɔtua ɛyɛ nkrɔfoɔ bi ka abambofo bi ka aban so bi ka sɛ wɔnom ɛnsɔre ntia saa ɛmabu wɔn ka wɔn no ntum wɔn hwe wɔnom paa ɛne ɛbotoro yɛmmoro wɔnom na aban ne kyerɛ sɛ Kenya woyɛ ɔyɛ kyerɛ yɛmo yɛntietia obi afa ahodie so ɛnyɛ saa ɛna asɛm no ɛteɛ nti Amnesty International mohwehwɛ mu ama yɛ no nyinaa no ɛbogos na so Amnesty International kyerɛ sɛ wɔnom anya ɛyɛ evidence bi anasa dance ɛkyerɛ sɛ aban no ɛsɔre ɛditia saa ɛmabu yi ade hyɛ kase no nyinaa asi dia edi emu akotiri bi ɛne sɛ ɔsoafo a wɔhwɛ ɛyɛ kuayɛ ɛnsɛm so no nyafo Erikopoku wɔkyerɛ sɛ akuafo mu kama to wiem yɛde edwa ɛbɛbɛn mu a ɛnni sɛ obi ɛba bɛtɔ ansa na wakɔ akɔtɔn
akyerɛkyerɛfo a wɔn wie wɔn ntete agye afimpinu ne aduonu mmiɛnsa se wɔn atena fi akyɛ ntiaban impostu wɔn
na no na ɔsoafo a ɔhwɛ ɛhomasua nsɛm so ɔkyerɛ sɛ wɔn ɛhwɛ sɛ Student Loan Trust Fund ɔde saa fotoɔ no ɛbɛfa akyerɛkyerɛfoɔ bi adwuma mu
nkwadaa sɛ bi wɔn honam akɔa ne baabi atekyema suku a wɔn kɔ no ɔsoafo a wɔhwɛ ɛhomasua ho nsɛm so ɛde ato dwa sɛ school feeding program no ɔmo de bi kɔ hɔ afei so ɔmo bɛhwɛ sɛ school fees ɔmo ntua bi
wɔ sɛ obiara mɔmɔden efioro afunu titiri so obenya gyanan bia ɛwɔ ne fie na wɔma ɔmanfoɔ sɛbi enya wɔn manan engu mɔnten so basa
ensɛm bi ka wei ho ɛna sɛmofoɔ sɛ mo na yɛtena se ɛde so mo sɛ nonum mpai mu kaseɛ ɛwɔ Pent Radio 100.1
ɛna CPC nkɔma ɔhene race by so sana afei so ɔhene renondari padded mark wɔn madama ɛna wabɛsɔ yasen kaseɛ FM adwempa hene Kofi Mensa ɛne kwabena usodumi ɛbɔ yɛchidom sɛ KOK wɔn ɛtena technical room wɔn mo streaming nyina live